This is the Eye for an Eye channel, or is it? I'm not quite sure which channel I'm uploading on, but if you're hearing this video, it's whatever channel you happen to be on. I'm attempting to get this video up, and again, this might even be on the website. I have no idea. But some people are asking me to at least put something vaguely out about what's going on, in my opinion, of course. And one of my main concerns here is the duping of society, which we're going to see through everything that's going on with the conflict that you're seeing. And I know that I can't say the word here, but the conflict that you all know that I'm talking about, right? So a few of the topics I just want to touch on, and I might not even have any pictures on the screen, so just listen and hear me out talking about these things, because I know you listen, all of you listen to a lot of different people, which is what you should do. And you should listen to yourself, most importantly, and listen to God, what he calls upon on your heart. So I want you to just have some of these nuggets from me in the event that you do listen to a lot of the Christian preachers out there, a lot of they're going to get a lot of views. There's going to be a lot of people talking about the stuff that they're talking about, but you got to have an understanding of who these people are and what they're doing over there. Okay, and how you're interpreting scriptures about who the chosen people are and who's occupying the land. Now, on the website, I go into all the detail about all this stuff on uprisingrevival.com, okay, including some of the quotes that were given out just recently by the so-called leader of that specific piece of land over there, where he says, what we will do to our enemies in the coming days will reverberate with them for generations. We've only started striking. And what this is really about, right? So let's look at some of the bullet points here, because when people talk about prophecy, they have to understand that they're going to start misinterpreting who the chosen people are. And I use this example on the website. It's very easy to, I believe, free to use, right? Because everybody looks at this and they think the people who are occupying the land are specifically chosen people. And they don't think any further than that. They don't think about when this specific place became a country or became a state, when this specific place, how long people have been in this specific place, I should say, right? There's people who could be there squatting. There's people who could literally be there who showed up, who are renting an apartment, whatever. Because you're in this occupied place does not mean that you are, by definition, a chosen person. But people seem to believe that. Now, what we're seeing right now is all done by design, of course. This is from within, like I've been talking about on the website. The largest military most of us believe or have been told is China and the United States. Well, for the smallest amount of territory to cover, this specific place that I'm talking about has the largest buildup of military. It has the best intel and the best technology. There's no chance in the world that any of these pictures could possibly be real, people crossing over, unless, of course, they allowed it, which means they would stand down, which is what they did. Now, what you need to understand about the groups that are being blamed for all these types of attacks are all funded and all part of the same country's intel, okay? They go by the name of, I don't know if I could say it, but Mossad, okay? And then you mix in the CIA and these other intel groups, and they all report back to this same country that has this huge military, which has been built up by what? By our tax money that we've built up. And then immediately after all these stories broke, what was the first thing that came out? Oh my goodness, right before anyone can even take a breath and absorb what's occurring, how did this happen? Oh, they got confident. These are videos on the website again, but they're talking about how they got confident, how they overlooked something happening, how this only happened because they weren't paying attention. Oopsie daisy, in other words, when even if they weren't paying attention, even if every single person was sleeping, the technology they have would not allow this to occur. They put pictures out there literally of what looks like if somebody snuck into your backyard, like with wire cutters and you had a fence. And they just came through with it. That's not even, are you kidding me? Nobody would even be able to come near the wall and the border that they have with the technology they have. And on top of that, nothing would be able to fly in the air, and you know what I'm talking about, and go down and blow up buildings. It wouldn't be possible. They'd be shot out of the air just via technology. So are you telling me that they had the intel, that these are, what are these all, hackers? They had the intel to be able to shut all their computers down? Because their computers would be the ones stopping any of the things in the air flying and shooting into buildings, right? So we could rule all those things out, right? So then what do we learn? We learn that what needs to occur here is that this specific piece of land needs to be the victim. And that's what we've seen throughout history. They need to be the victim. And anytime you question these specific people, you will be shut down. You'll be called all types of names. And even in some countries, you'll be thrown in prison. Are you following? Okay? I've talked about certain things involving a certain word that has to do with how we have vampires in our culture. Are you familiar with that? People are like, what is it, this vampires and all this stuff? That actually ties back to these people, how they're trying to normalize the sadistic acts that they do. Yeah, and you could piece all this stuff together. But back to this specific story, I'm throwing that in there so for some of you that don't know, you could learn about vampires on the website and what the origins are, or you could look it up yourself. And you can see what people this traces back to. All the stuff that you see in our society, who it traces back to, and how they're trying to normalize wickedness. And these teachings go back to Babylon. These teachings, people think this goes back to the Old Testament. These people don't believe in the Old Testament. That's what you need to get. So the deception here is that these people are under attack, right? So why would they need the deception? Because it gives them the right to go and destroy this specific piece of land. Now, why would they want to destroy this specific piece of land? Because they want to destroy the dome of the rock, because that is where they plan on building and erecting the third temple, where the dome of the rock is. They would never be allowed to destroy the dome of the rock, not to mention the fact that they want to destroy these people just as much as they want to destroy Christians. So that's another topic I'll be discussing on the website, because we're next. And the Bible tells us that we're next, because the Bible tells us how much we're going to suffer. And if you think that the suffering is just us watching this craziness, that's not true at all. The suffering is going to be brutal, because there's going to be torture. There's going to be all types of things that occur in the future. But this has to happen first. Okay? This is a precedent for what's going to come to us. So they want these people wiped out for multiple reasons, but specifically to take over that land and to erect the third temple. Now, the other narrative with the third temple that everybody needs to watch is all of this stuff of who's going to rise out of this. Because they're saying that this is going to take time. Okay, so you could look at this and you can go into 2024. We're going to hear all the propaganda. Because remember, nothing happens overnight. It's a long conditioning and desensitizing process. So this is going to go on back and forth. Stories continue to make and build up one side to be a victim and one side to be a horrible bully who's responsible, never getting real information about the wicked acts that this one specific country is responsible for. You'll never hear about it in the news, and nobody will ever know, except for the people who are victims of it, who get suppressed and aren't allowed to speak on it. Right? These people are the real bullies. These are the real people responsible. But if they make themselves the victims, then they can bully back and do all types of things, which they call blank, 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 WAR crimes, right? Which, again, I talk about on the website in a recent video I did about how laughable that term is, right? We hear that all the time, like, oh, there's certain rules. There's rules in this now, right? Well, why do you think they put rules in place? They put rules in place so they could throw the media out there and pretend like they're not allowed to be touched so that they can make sure they get you with their propaganda. So the media feels, oh, we're untouchable out here in the world. If you were in one of these barbaric groups like they're calling them, wouldn't one of the first things you do to go after the media? Oh, you're playing by the rules, though, because you want to go to jail for a war crime. It's utter insanity, the stuff that people believe. And then why they're allowed out there because they're not going to get touched because it would be a war crime. So we can have NBC and CNN sitting out there with little vests on, right, pretending like, and bicycle helmets, like the video I put up on the website yesterday about the duping delight. The guy was smiling ear to ear, couldn't even resist some of the ridiculous stuff in the news, which, again, you can't talk about that stuff here. So they're victimizing themselves for what they're about to do. And there won't be nobody will be allowed to ask questions. Why do you think you're hearing about the extreme stories of this? Oh, you should see the things they're doing in the streets to so-and-so. They want you to know this stuff. Why do they want you to know it? They want you to know it because they want you to be angry and upset. And they want you to be prepared to hear of nothing bad that they're going to do in retaliation, but just the fact that they're going to retaliate and win. And that they're like the Rocky Balboa here. Oh, they're the underdog. They're the big underdog with the biggest military on the planet. They're no underdog at all. But now that they've made themselves into the underdog, think about psychologically what that does and how they can hurt people. Now, when I was talking about the third temple and who I'm suggesting there, it would be a guy who they call the Orange Man, who I don't even know if I could say his name anymore on this channel, because it seems like when you say his name, it gets automatically put into an algorithm to get reviewed because they want to make sure you're playing into the narratives here. They don't want you to get pulled away from the left-right deception. So the Orange Man, right? I'm sure you all know who the Orange Man is. The Orange Man could be the one that rises out of this and helps with the erecting of that, believe it or not. Because remember the stuff I've been showing you on the website, I've been showing it over the last couple of years. The most pro this country president in the history, over and over, a narrative that's out there, repeating it, right? Hurting Christians. And I believe, like I said recently on the website as well, that, we talk about separating the wheat from the tares. Well, we can look at that in many different ways, right? There's a lot of things with, we've all talked about it, right? With Christians and how the church has been open to all these types of perversions now and these people and utter insanity, right? So yes, that can tie into it, obviously. But think about who they're going to be pro-sympathetic to, the wrong people, how they can get herded into this, not even having any understanding about the land, who occupies the land, Balfour Declaration, any of this stuff that has happened in history. They don't believe it. They just ignore it, or they just refuse to educate themselves on it. And they don't realize that there is a deception going on right now. So let's just recap some of these points that I've tried to get out the best I can. And this is why it's super annoying, because this is stuff for the website, but I want it here on YouTube because I want the new people out there, and even some of the older people. I mean, I've noticed, again, that new people, about 10,000 new people or so, because the channel was in the YouTube Partner Program, found my channel, which means that's 10,000 more people I can help wake up, which is what I do this for, okay? So once you're in the Partner Program, then you get recommended. Once you're out, you don't get recommended. That's what shadow banning is. People are like, I'm shadow banned because they don't get subs. Well, if you're not in the program, partner program, you will not get showed to other people. So that's the first key. You need to get into it. That's why I keep building these channels out. The second they take me out of that program, the channel's dead. It means, yes, I could talk to you if they haven't deleted the channel yet on those channels, but I can't reach anyone new. And people are like, well, go to Rumble and BitChute. There's no new people. They're teenagers in high school on Rumble and BitChute. Okay? You might say, well, what do you care about them for? Well, their generation is doomed if they don't wake up, because they're under the most mind control. And there's also millennials that are trying to wake up and don't understand what's going on. So I'm trying to reach new people. To me, that's the key to this. So I'm hoping that this video will be up on YouTube, because I don't even know if it will. But these are the things you need to realize. Victimizing a specific group of people who are not really victims. This has happened throughout history. I talked about this when it was allowed to on YouTube, about how they were going to need to come up with another thing like this to turn them back into victims, because the old excuse they were constantly using was drying out. It ran out of steam. That old excuse that they had, that they kept bringing up, which is over 100 years ago almost, they kept bringing it up and rolling people out. And people were losing sympathy because they weren't even, because time passed. So they're just like, all right, well, that is a long time ago. Well, now they have sympathy again. They're building that back up. That way they could put more laws and rules in that if you question the specific people who are at the head of the snake, you'll go to jail, you'll be silenced, etc., etc., etc. And this will help with that. So you won't be allowed to look at this from the opposite perspective. Christians will be very, very deceived by this. And then what we'll see with the long drawn out so-called WAR here is we're going to see eventually the destruction of the Dome of the Rock, which is what they've wanted to do all along, which is what Netanyahu wants to do. And that's specifically where I believe. I'm not saying this as if I'm a prophet or something like that. I know there's people out there claiming to be YouTube prophets. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not claiming any of that stuff. I'm watching the narratives. That's what I'm doing, okay? That's where I believe they're going to attempt to build the third temple. And it could be with the help of the Orange Man. It could be with the help of somebody else. But we know what we're going to see would be the rise of the Antichrist. So keep an eye on all these narratives. Again, there's a bunch of different things regarding this that I've covered already on the website that if you don't understand what's going on, you need to learn about. Just keep in mind that this would never, ever, 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 ever have happened unless they wanted it to happen. And that's the point. It's not to not feel sympathy for specific people there, civilians, etc. It's the people in charge who are doing this to their own people. And they're doing it to us in America, just not on this type of level yet, psychologically. But soon this will be happening here. And they want you to constantly point to someone who's out of reach. Oh, it's so-and-so. It's the boogeyman here, there. It's a boogeyman from within. And some people in that specific land know that it is. They know that this specific leader over there with white hair allowed this to occur, because it could not mathematically, technically, any way you want to think about it, there's a 0% chance that this would ever have happened the way that they said it could happen, or it did happen. It did not happen that way. It's not possible with the artillery and the size of that military that they have over there. It is not possible, okay? This, again, will allow them to do what they're about to do. So I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm just trying to let you know. I know a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people now who listen, who are very, into watching like prophets and stuff on YouTube. And a lot of those prophets don't really interpret what's going on over there properly. And that's what I'm trying to step in here for, is to help them understand. Not saying that they cannot help me understand stuff biblically. I'm not perfect in my doctrine. I don't think anyone is. But if you don't understand what Revelation's talking about with that specific people who are of the blank of Satan, and you don't understand all of history that's been hidden but is out there for you to find out through patents, with the other thing, with declarations like I mentioned, Balfour, etc., and who owns the land, then you don't really understand what's going on. And you don't understand who the real enemy is versus the real victim, and who the real people that the Bible's talking about are versus who they're not. So hopefully this coded video was of some help for some people out there. It's annoying to do. I need to get back to some of my regular content. It's hard to with all this stuff going on because I really just want to focus in on that because it's really what's important right now. But I also don't want to leave people high and dry with no content. But hopefully I was able to get this video up, and I'll continue to try. Make sure now you're subbed to my other 2 channels. Whatever channel this is on, I have 3. Eye for an Eye, Uprising Revival, and United Uprising. Just make sure you're subbed to 3. I don't know which one this is going to be on. It's not going to be on United Uprising. I need help building that one out so it's ready and set. But videos like this are the reason that they throw me off all the time. And it's not just me, it's many people out there. So I do this to make sure I could still get word out to people. And it's not so, I could go on Rumble and I could post it and it won't get taken down. But guess what? I won't reach new people. And as much as some people are like, well, I want to hear it and I want to be entertained by it, I want to help new people wake up. Because that's really the only way that anything can be done. And that's really, I'm scared of people getting herded in the wrong direction here and falling for a great deception. So that's what I'm here for. But please sub to those channels. And again, uprisingrevival.com, $2.99 a month, troll free, unlimited content. I have to pay money to have the website. It's not a free website. Okay, so I have to pay a lot of money to have unlimited amount of room to upload thousands of videos. I put my exclusive uncensored content up over there, and I also put up all my archive stuff. And I'm continuing to do that every day. I'm putting up my archive videos. So there's thousands of videos I've done. So if you're new to my channel, I'm not really new at this. I've been doing this for a long time. 7 years maybe. I've had over 1 million subs. If you combine all the channels, probably over 2 million. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. They don't want me talking about it. So I have to do it over on the website. So it's half a gallon of gas for the month for a month's worth of unlimited content. And again, the forum over there is really what it's all about. You could say anything you want, talk about anything you want. Well, within reason, of course, not like anything gross. But you could post anything you want in regards to all these things going on. You could interact with other people. You could learn scripture. There's so many different topics and things going on. So definitely check it out if you haven't yet. I thank everyone for being here. Let me know if you were able to understand some of the stuff I was saying, coded for AI's sake. Hopefully this ends up on YouTube. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I guess I'll just delete it. But hopefully it's up there. If it's up there, thumbs up. All right. Thanks, everybody. God bless all of you as always and your families.